what we got here is we've got Suicide Squad, which is Volume 4, Issue 1. We have Ant-Man, Astonishing Ant-Man, which is, hang on, let me find that out. That is Volume 1, Issue 1. We have Wonder Woman, which is, I should really write these a lot more better, Volume 5, Issue 19. Then we go on to the ones we unboxed last time. So we've got 3 unboxing ones we've got to do and ones that we've just got in. So we've got Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider, which is Volume 1, Issue 9. Captain Marvel, Volumes 11, Issue 6. And then we've got Volume 11, Issue 7 of Captain Marvel as well. What we have here is the War of the Realms tie-in, which is really good. So if you've ever seen like the Thors, and I've been reading the Thor comics and the recent ones here, you'll find the War of the Realms, and there's a nice little tie-in with that with this. So without further ado, we shall look at Suicide Squad. What we got here is Suicide Squad Volume 4, Issue 1, and this was brought out in August 2016. There were only 50 issues of this done, and this is still going on now. So if you're currently collecting Suicide Squad, this is the current one you'll see. So this is the first issue of it all. They've currently got up to 50 issues, I think. Issue 50, from 1 to 50 at the moment. I'm not sure if they've stopped it now, or it's still a continuation, it's still continuing now. This is from August 2016 when they first brought them out. So basically, 3 years ago today. It's perfect to sort of review this. And basically this is called The Black Vault. So it starts off with Director Waller inspecting the new prison called the Black Vault, where she recruits Harley, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, Killer Croc, and June Moon to steal something for her. She just brings them into the office. She just goes in and tells them, "Oh, we need to collect this and all that stuff." It's basically similar to the film. This is what it is. It's like, really, for Suicide Squad sort of volume? Is it going much different to the film? This time round, the things they want them to sort of steal for them is in a rogue Russian state. So instead of it being at home in America and things like that, they've got to go to a rogue Russian state, and it's sort of guarded under the sea, underground in the sea, in the ocean. So as they go off on their mission, they're unaware of things that will go wrong with them. Sort of, they're in the helicopter and they're sort of going, "Oh yeah, what's going on here?" You know. But they end up crash landing in the sea. And as that's going on, the comic then cuts into a personal file on Deadshot and his past, on where he was hired by the Cobra gang to kill Bruce Wayne. So you get a little backflash to that in this, and you got little snippets of Never Miss an Issue, and where he black flashes to his daughter, and the Cobra gang uses her as a bargaining chip. So hence why there's a backstory to why Deadshot was hired to kill Bruce Wayne. So it's a nice little sort of tie-in with this. And this is what happens when they crash into the water. They crash into the water, they black out, they're not sure what's going on. And the first person it's cut into is Deadpool. Not Deadpool, I'm saying Deadpool. Deadshot. And how his life has had to change since he was involved, or he was basically a villain for hire as a sort of Deadshot type person. So yeah, getting his daughter being used like that isn't nice, but I'm sure Bruce Wayne would understand why it was had to do it like that. So that's basically Suicide Squad, and that's how the comic of the first issue sort of finishes. You always just get a brief glimpse to how the volumes are going to go in the first few issues. This is what I'm finding. So they're very thin sort of looking, but you do get quite a bit in it. You sort of get a little insight to it, and yeah, I think in future I want to get more Suicide Squad comics. So I'll keep an eye out open for that, and we'll see how that goes. So with this Astonishing Ant-Man, I love the cover. So I'm going to point out to the cover for you guys. That is how the original Ant-Man would have looked under Hank Pym back in the 60s and 70s when it was first brought out. It is awesome. You don't get the facial masks you get now that covers the mouth and nose. It's just the eyes on the chin and things like that, and the antennae. It's a bit like looking at the Tick in a way, but like an Ant-Man version. That's basically a Mark Brooks cover, and it's from Volume 1, Issue 1, and it's dated from December 2015. Now, this went on for 13 issues, and basically this has Scott Lang in it. So Scott Lang is based in the Miami area. He's a small business owner, and his business is basically called Ant-Man Security Solutions. So it's a nice little ring to that if you're interested in that sort of thing. He's got his teenage daughter, an ex-wife. Oh, and he's Ant-Man as well. So this is what it basically says in the inside of the cover. You're like, oh, really? Never thought he'd be Ant-Man, you sort of thing, sarcastically. But basically, yeah, it's set in Miami. He's been there for like 8 months, had 0 clients, and an £800 glass repair bill, basically. So the business isn't going well for him. Even his TV advert for the business is very cheesy, where he stops a robbery dressed as Ant-Man, with one of the baddies dressed in a bear costume. So that's how it's been in this comic. It's like, really? So it has got that Scott Lang humour to it. So if you're used to it, it's like, oh, right, fair enough, that looks quite good, So in the comic, Miss Morgenstern is his boss. Back in the 1950s, she was a superhero called Miss Patriot. Nowadays, she runs a retirement community for wannabe superheroes. So she was the one who helped Scott Lang set up his business. Obviously, she's doing it for a reason, and all seems not quite clear in the comic to how a relationship with Scott Lang is going to go. But basically, in the comic, he switches from Ant-Man to Scott Lang when he goes to visit his daughter Cassie. At one point, he hides in the car as Ant-Man, whilst Cassie and her mum have a chat about the Pym particle and the Avengers until they get home. So she's like arguing, oh, I like my dad like that, It's like, she's going, oh, I don't know, your dad's always getting into trouble, sort of attitude. And that's how the conversation goes in the car. It's like, really, So it's at that point when they get home that Scott remembers what happened to Darren Cross and how he nearly killed her. So he was like, oh, you nearly killed me, my daughter and my family, So he flies out the car, and the comic sort of cuts to Darren Cross at his research lab where they're experimenting with shrinking people. So he's getting it. It's quite a lot like the first one, basically, and it's like a continuation instead of Darren Cross dying in it, like he would do. It's a case of he survives at Darren Cross, and it's like what happened after that. So after sort of doing that, he flies off. Scott Lang flies off, and after the cutaway that happens, he goes off to join Miss Morgenstern, who is talking to Detective Blake Burkdeck. And it's after that Ant-Man battles a new villain called Whirlwind. So you got Whirlwind in this as well. And it comes to the end of the battle. Cross's men call back Whirlwind. So Whirlwind's being controlled by Darren Cross. This is what's happening. So he's got rid of the Yellow Jacket. So he's actually producing these villains now. From the actual, I think it's from the Pym particle. He's trying to sort of do something with that, with the shrink rays and things like that. Who he then hires and then disappears, leaving Ant-Man to think, what was that all about towards the end of the comic? So yeah, it's a nice little comic, and I want to see if I can finish this comic off by trying collecting the rest of the issues. But it's a very typical crossover. Don't know if it's after the first Ant-Man film or after the second Ant-Man film where he goes down into Miami and starts setting up his business there. But it's a nice little alternative Ant-Man, Astonishing Ant-Man sort of thing. You always think of it as a Hank Pym. Now, we've dealt with Hank Pym in the past with previous comics, like the Uncanny Avengers last month. We read that, and we read about how Age of Ultron was using Hank Pym's features to make himself look human, sort of thing. So going from that to this is why I had a hard task of splitting these comics up, because I thought it's an interesting story to tell here for regular people who will watch it, will understand. Hang on, we talked about Hank Pym in the last one with the Uncanny Avengers, and now there's a crossover with the Astonishing Ant-Man, but as Scott Lang. But where does it fit in? And these are roughly the same eras to when these were produced. But yeah, that's an interesting one. If you like your Ant-Man, and this is my first Ant-Man comic I managed to get hold of, So I'm pretty pleased that I've got one, which is about Scott Lang's story. You get Cassie in it. It's very cheesy in how he sets up his business, but you do question whether or not this this former Miss Patriot is from the 1950s is actually a hero or a villain. You get that sense in the comic. Is she who she's supposed to be? You know, you sort of think like that. And what is Darren Cross's relationship with a lot of them? Why are they fighting them back again? I know they're regular villains and all that lot, but why are they attacking them? This is what makes me think towards this comic and makes me want to collect more of them. So yeah, that's my first Ant-Man comic. It's Astonishing Ant-Man from 2015, Volume 1, Issue 1. If you want to collect it, there's only 13 issues in it, so do keep an eye on it. And I do recommend that, to be honest, if you're an Ant-Man fan. Next, we have Wonder Woman. So, this Wonder Woman one is Volume 5, Issue 19. And it's like with all DC comics, you look at the covers and think, what the hell's going on there, you think? You know, so we've got that thinking about that. It is a issue that's still going on now. So I think we've got 73 issues of this at the moment. Because it's Volume 5, Issue 19. It's from May 2017. And it still runs to 2019 now. So it's probably still running as we speak now. That's a Liam Sharp cover, for those that's interesting. And this is called The Truce Part 3. So it starts off with Diana trapped in a labyrinth. And she ends up talking to Ferdinand, who is trapped in with her. So they're in a labyrinth. She's trying to sort of find her way out. And as she joins up with the rest of them after it, they sort of go, what's going on here? But what happens is she ends up basically going after Dr. Cal. First appearance of her was in Wonder Woman Volume 2, Issue 196 in November 2003. So for people who've read the previous ones and you've got the links to that, you'll know who Dr. Cal is. And she talks a lot about it in the comics. And you get quite a lot of backflashes. So this comic is quite a lot of backflashes in it. You also get an encounter with Cheetah in Washington, D.C. And she's trying to find Barbara. So this is what the old issue is. We'll find Barbara to see what's going on. And all that lot. Towards the end of the comic, Diana gets shot by a sniper as they capture Maroon, who is Dr. Poison. And they sort of rush to her aid to find out what's going on. At the same time, they're still trying to find Barbara. So, because of the backflashes, like I said, with all DC comics, and this is why you get the Rebirth ones, you get quite a thin cover of it all, and they sort of spread it out over volumes. Now, because it's called The Truce Part 3, you're like, what's going on? So we picked it up in the middle of a series like that. So, yeah, if you like your references to Ferdinand, Dr. Cal, The Poison, Cheetah, and Barbara, this is quite alright for you. But I think this is a sort of thing where you're going to have quite a few Wonder Woman comics just to understand it. This has been a regular one of mine that I've been doing. This is Volume 1, Issue 19. No, sorry, Issue 9. So it's Issue 9 out of 10. They currently just released the 10th issue, which I've got to unbox here live. This is from June last month. This is called Hammer to the Heart. Now, you remember last time in Issue 8, and where we found out there was the arena bomb, and the Spidey senses were kicking off, and there was all that devastation towards the end of it. With this one, it starts off with Spider-Gwen waking from that blast at the band concert. So they did the practice before it, and then went into the band concert, and then she just ends up going out and helping off all the trapped people in the concert. So that's what she ends up doing, and getting them all out. At that time, her father, which is the captain, arrives to find out how Gwen is doing. Because she's like, oh, my daughter's in this sort of blast, what's going on, you know. So he goes off to try and find her and find out what's going on. What you see here is a photo of Man-Wolf. So that is Man-Wolf who's in this comic as well. So that is awesome. That. So what we got here is so after speaking to Spider-Gwen, so he gets out to speak to Spider-Gwen at the end of the concert to Gwen Stacy, and she goes off to find out which monster did it, and she goes off and flies off in the night. And she starts looking into the areas where she was attacked in previous issues in this comic. So she goes off and has a look at all the areas where in the comic you had in previous issues, where she was fighting all the baddies and all the criminal gangs and all that lot. So first off, she goes to check the car park. That's her, and just finds out what's going on there. Doesn't pick up much clues, but then she goes off to her dad's office. From there, she's looking at her dad's computer with the help of another police officer that's there. She finds out that Man-Wolf is responsible for the bombing. So she finds out Man-Wolf is involved with the bombing, and she goes, right, I need to go and find him. And he goes after him and his gang. So she catches one of the gangs in the back streets, and then goes to the warehouse after getting that information to find Man-Wolf, who she starts to fight and catches her with her spider webs, things like that. Once she's had a big fight, it's quite a good fight because it's like, oh, well, is Spider-Gwen going to lose this fight? Is Man-Wolf going to win? But that's basically what it is. It's the warehouse fight scene that you see in the comic. And once she sort of battles him and gets him all tied up and all that lot, she then goes and calls her dad to get Man-Wolf. Later on in the comic, you get Gwen Stacy going over to the hospital to visit Harry Osborn, it looks like. There's no reference to Harry Osborn, but I'm assuming it's Harry Osborn from reading it. And at the same time, the Mary J. Band turn up towards the end of the comic and sort of give her a bit of a reassurance and that. But that's quite awesome. And I like the fact that Harry Osborn is actually Gwen Stacy's boyfriend in this. It's like, oh, really? It's very alternative to what you're used to. But yeah, Ghost Spider will continue, but it's going to continue in its own little comic form without the separate Gwen Stacy or Spider-Gwen. So you can have all the characters in it, I think. I need to research before I decide I'm going to commit to getting that and finding out what's going on with how many issues there are going to be of the new Ghost Spider. As of last week, I've not been able to find out, and it's due out this month. So yeah, I'm like, So yeah, that's Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider, Volume 1, Issue 9. But like I said, the first three or four issues of this was the Spider-Verse crossover. So you had Spider-Geddon in it and all that lot. And it was like in the aftermath of I think it was the multiverse sort of thing, the Spider-Verse that was going on. And then he cut into the actual Ghost Spider side of it, and where she's questioning what's going on with her identity being released to the public, so people know Gwen Stacy is Spider-Gwen, or in the comic Spider-Woman as it is. So that's awesome. So if you like your Spider-Gwen and you're into the multiverse or the Spider-Verse, do feel free to check out the comics. And like I said, the new one that's due out, which is called Ghost Spider, keep an eye out on that. It's due out, I think, by the end of this month. You can probably pre-order it now or later on this week and find out, or next week, and find out what it's all about. But do check it out. I'm still researching what's going on. And like I said, we've got the final issue to unbox here, which is basically going to be the aftermath of catching Man-Wolf and find out why he wanted Spider-Gwen. So yeah, that's Ghost Spider. Really enjoyed reading it, and we'll see how that continues off soon. Next, we have Captain Marvel. Now, we've got Captain Marvel in two parts. So I'm going to review the Strange Trip War of the Realms tie-in. So this is part 1. So basically, what this is Captain Marvel Volume 11, Issue 6. This is from August, so this is actually brand new. This is brand new from this month. War of the Realms tie-in. It starts off with Black Widow and the Winter Soldier fighting a load of zombie men, which is brought down by Enchantress. So this is the Enchantress. So the woman here you see here is that's her. It's like a Asgardian villain. This is what it's about. So the War of the Realms is a bit like that. And as Black Widow goes to sort of battle her and all that, like, she gets knocked out and has her visions of Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel turning up, and she walks so as she wakes up, she ends up escaping with Bucky, who then plans to find Carol. So it starts off the comic with a nice battle scene. So you get a battle scene between Black Widow, Winter Soldier's helping her out, and this is what I like. Winter Soldier is in quite a lot of current comics with Black Widow. So when we're going to get to see that in a film, I don't know, but it's awesome that that's what they're doing. Marvel are bringing in characters like that, and I think there is actually a love interest between them two, which is strange to say. I mean, they're both Russian. Well, one's Russian and one's American, sort of thing. You know, Bucky Barnes is American turned to Russian, and Black Widow's Russian turned into American sort of thing. That's the way it has been, you know. So basically, after the battle, and she flees, and they plan to find Carol, they end up cutting back to a scene at the Avenger Mountain. Captain Marvel, who's Carol Danvers, gets woken up from bed by Natasha on a hologram sort of phone. It's like a Skype hologram. That's what it's like. She ends up telling him what's happening in South America, where all this is based. So they plan to get Doctor Strange, and they go to her. So this is what happens. Carol goes to find Doctor Strange, and they go down and see her. As they arrive in South America, they are greeted by zombie men, and they start to sort of fight them off. With Black Widow, Doctor Strange together with Captain Marvel. You don't see Bucky Barnes in it at all from there onwards. Not that what I've read. And as they reach the Enchantress, they're taken back by her powers. And as they try and fight her, they find the Enchantress has swapped bodies. So Doctor Strange is in Captain Marvel's body, and Captain Marvel is in Doctor Strange's body. Black Widow's still herself. So this is what's happening. There's like a body swap sort of thing going on. And they spend the next 6 hours going insane, thinking, oh, don't treat my body like this, you know, oh, like that sort of thing. So it's quite an interesting but funny read at the same time. This is why it's like an hourglass in there. She ends up trapping him. So it's awesome. If you like your body swap sort of thing going on in comics and things like that, this is an issue for you to get. This one, it's this one and the next one. So yeah, as they spend the next 6 hours going insane, and as they feel each other's feelings, so this is what it is, they're feeling each other's feelings, how they feel. And as they're just about to figure it out, when they get attacked again by Enchantress's men, the zombie men. Doctor Strange asking Carol to do some spells as Doctor Strange, with her reply being, but that's Harry Potter. I don't know, you know, how Harry Potter does the spells. You know, this is what it is. So it's like a big Harry Potter reference towards the end of the comic from Captain Marvel as Doctor Strange. It's really, it's funny when you read it like that, and it's like, oh my god, they've finally done a body swapping. It's a bit like Thor and Iron Man getting the body swapped. This is what it's like in that sort of thing. So this is what the sort of thing I love. I think this is hilarious. This is so funny in a comic as well. And wishing he knew how. I said, this is what it is. So he's like, oh, I wish I knew how. I said, you know, I don't know how Harry Potter does spells. And basically that's how the comic of the first part ends. So if you like it, this is awesome. This is issue 6 of volume 11. Issue 7 we're going to review here. So this is issue 7. So you see there, it's like Carol Danvers is doing the spells of Doctor Strange there with a pause, with a pause up, not pause up, hands up, doing the what you call it, and you sort of think, how's that relating to the first one? But basically that's what's happened. They've body swapped, and this is why you've got. I mean, I think that's quite a cool Doctor Strange outfit he's wearing there, because that's like a Captain Marvel style Doctor Strange. I was on at first wondering, that's not Doctor Strange. It's some futuristic, crappy one, I thought. And I realised, and I thought, hang on a minute, that's Carol Danvers sort of thing, but with Doctor Strange's logo sort of thing. I thought, yeah, that's where the body swapping things come into. But they don't look like that in the comics. I swear to you, they don't look like that. So this is the next one. This is issue 7, volume 11, out of 10. So this is part 2 of Strange Trip. And it is like a trip. It's like an LSD trip, to be honest. This is what it's like. And again, War of the Realms tie-in. If you're interested in it, go and check it out. But it starts off with Doctor Strange then teaching Carol how to do magic. As he body swapped thanks to the Enchantress. Tongue twisting again. So I'll start that off again. This comic starts off with Doctor Strange teaching Carol Danvers, who is Captain Marvel, how to do magic as they've body swapped thanks to the Enchantress. So as she performs the shield of Serenum, whatever you call it, the shield, which is basically what she's doing there in the comic. they are being attacked. So it starts off with them being attacked by these zombie sort of men sort of thing. And Doctor Strange learns how to do Captain Marvel's fist blasts, which he blasts the men away. So he's like, oh, I've got to learn how to do this. So he ends up fist blasting the enemies, sort of zombie men. And after the battle, they camp for the night and teach each other how to use each other's powers. At the same time, in the background in the comic, you spot Natasha, Black Widow, battling a crocodile. It's just crawled out the water. She's like having her own little battle with them two are sort of sitting around a campfire teaching each other these tricks, you know. So 24 hours later, they're back in the battle again, and this time Spider-Man turns up and helps out. And Doctor Strange uses her as Carol powers on Marvel's Doctor Strange, which forces the Enchantress to show up. But they force her into another battle, which ends her body swapping Marvel and Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange again. And once they regain the power, so they've been body swapped again, they wake up and they notice the Enchantress is weak. She's weakened herself by doing that. And it's like, okay, you know, let's go and blast them with their own powers. So they know how to use their own powers. And they end up capturing her. So it's like, oh, she's weakened. Let's go and, you know, get her. So they capture her. And then it cuts to like 10 days later. And Carol is back into a Manhattan apartment stroking Goose at the end of the comic. So you get a little sense to how the next one is going to go.